All right, guys. Something was really disturbing to me last night of a show that I watched. And I heard about the show. The show was only on for one season. And I'm not surprised. And this is just the first episode that I saw. Let me talk about it. This is DJ Wolf Live. All right. Okay. I'm going to talk to you about this TV show that I watched last night. The first time I watched it, I heard about it. It's been out for a few years. It was only on for one season. It got canned. And now I can understand why. I'm going to tie it in with what's been going on recently with the protest marches. And I'm going to tell you why. And why it's actually slowing down our cause for what we're trying to march for. Last night, I decided to troll through because a couple of my shows that got pulled off, had the season series finales and season finales as well. So my wife and I was trying to find something to watch last night. We found a new show on UMC called Double Cross. It's very good. I highly recommend it. Before I get to the other stuff I want to say, I also want to tie what I'm going to talk about in with Tyler Perry's shows as well. But let me talk about this one. Let me talk about this other show I meant to talk about. So, Jay Farrell, who you know was a popular Saturday Night Live cast member. I don't know. I think he's still on it. I'm not 100% sure. They kept referring to him as former SNL member. But I occasionally see him on there sometimes. Maybe it's because I'm watching reruns. I don't know. Anyway, very, very talented brother. He's a talented young brother. He really is. He's talented, man. He does impressions, like really good impressions. But he's a talented brother. And he recently was stopped by police officers out in L.A. He was stopped by 4. I'm not sure why. Just weird. And he was jogging. And this just happened, I think, about in the last 2-3 weeks or something like that. I just happened to watch the video of him talking to us, discussing about what happened. You know. And of course, eventually they let him go after he told them to Google his name. He did a show. He had a series on Showtime called White Famous. It was executive produced by Jamie Foxx. And there was a scene. Now, I guess there's a brother who wanted to go to Hollywood or wanted to be famous, but he wanted to be famous on his own terms. And I can understand that as a black man. You know, he didn't want to have to consult. I mean, you know, he didn't want to have to conform to Hollywood's racist rules for being famous. So I was watching the scene where he was actually being taken to the trailer of Jamie Foxx, who was on the set of a movie he was working on, and they actually were trying to get Jay Farrell's character to be part of that team. So goes up to Jamie Foxx's trailer. Jamie Foxx is in there smashing some fine, fat, thick booty somebody up in there. She was fine. Oh my God. This girl was super fine, had a fat old ass. Anyway, so Jamie Foxx got her off of him after, I guess, he called it meditating. But anyway, let me get to the main part of what I want to say. So Jay Farrell's talking to him. Jamie Foxx, get up. He pulls down something red, and the red happened to be over himself. And the red had to be a cheerleader skirt. Now, I heard rumors about Jamie Foxx. Superheads talked about him. Oh, yeah. In detail. Now, I don't know if it's fact or not, but she has mentioned Jamie Foxx kind of being a little out there. I've heard stories about him for years. I didn't think I'd actually see him on the what I guess you could call it a sitcom. On this sitcom that he was executive producer on, and actually rolled with this storyline. And he's sitting up here with a mini skirt on, or a cheerleader skirt on, banging this super hot chick. And I'm like, okay, what are we getting at here? So he's, convincing Jay Farrell about this, that, and the other. And Jamie Foxx coming off as the most gay I've ever seen him. He even mentioned about his Wanda character on Living Color. So he talking about, it's about the dress. I'm like, what? I guess he was saying that's how you get black famous in Hollywood, or that's how you get famous in Hollywood, by putting on the dress. They talked about that for decades. Now, like I said, I don't know why they would do something like that on that show or whatever. Maybe they're trying to make a point. All I know is at one point, and he said the dress would change everything, change you. And he kept saying something about nut pussy, nut pussy, something like that. I said, what? So he had Jay Farrell put a dress on. He wouldn't do it. Then when he did it, he put the dress on, and then Jamie Foxx went up to him, pulled the dress on, and said, "See, I told you, nut pussy, you ain't nothing there." Jay Farrell looked up. His thing ain't gone. It's weird, man. It was a weird scene. And then Jamie Foxx walking up to him like he already kissed him. I turned the shit off. And I'm like, that was some weird shit. I have a slight understanding, not completely, but I have a slight understanding of what they were trying to convey on the show. That Black Hollywood, and I heard someone else talking about it too, that Black Hollywood really is like that. They would try you to see how far you will go to get in Hollywood. But to sit there and watch Jamie Foxx walking around in the miniskirt, or cheerleader's outfit, or cheerleader skirt rather, was pretty jarring. I'm like, what the fuck is this? But I had heard rumor about him. I heard a couple rumors about him for years. I just didn't think that he would actually pull that shit off. And he did in this TV series that he was an executive producer on. I was like, yo. But actually, I couldn't watch it. I told my wife, I'm not going to go any further on the series myself. I'm not going to watch this shit. I just couldn't. I said, I'm not going to do that. It wasn't worth it at that point. It was just too. It was too controversial for me. That was the first episode. I turned it off. I just could not watch it. I was like, I didn't. I understood what I think that what they were trying to convey in the script, but I just thought it was just too weird, man. I've been watching shows like Larry Sanders and Seinfeld and other shows of his ilk, and even the guy who co-wrote Seinfeld, Larry David, has his own show on HBO called Curb Your Enthusiasm, which I actually used to watch the first season. I watched it for the first couple of seasons, and I bailed out. I may start back watching it because it was actually a very good show. And Larry David actually is a very funny guy. For those of you who don't know Larry David, he actually is a distant cousin of Bernie Sanders, and they actually look just alike. No joke. He played Bernie Sanders on Saturday Night Live, and they found out they're actually distant cousins. I'm like, wow, what a coinky thing, and a surprise. But anyway, But I mentioned Larry Davis show, Curb Your Enthusiasm, Seinfeld, which he was from a writer on, co-creator, and the Larry Davis show with the late great Gary Shandling. And I don't recall actually seeing those guys doing anything on those shows like that at all. They were impromptu type comedy shows like that, you know. And White Famous is kind of like on that line, but I've never seen him do that. I don't know if there was a message that Jamie Foxx was trying to convey when they did that scene, but maybe the reason why he tried to convey that scene is because he was going to tell black folks, if you want to get to Hollywood, this is the way you get through it. I find that fascinating. But I have been hearing about that for a long time. Now Hollywood is all kind of weird steers and queers out there. I've heard that for decades. You know. And Hollywood is known for that. The late Corey Haim and Corey Feldman both talked about that. You know. Corey Feldman still talks about that to this day. He started out as a young kid back in the late 1970s. And he talked about some horror stories that him and his late friend went through in Hollywood as Hollywood actors. Young Hollywood actors. Anyway, the reason why I brought this thing about Jamie Foxx in the show, because although it was a scripted show, and I heard rumors about Jamie Foxx going that route, being on the fence there, being both ways. And I don't know if it's true or not, but I heard that rumor for decades. The movement that's going on with the fight against racism in this country, the fight for real justice in the country, the Black Lives Matter movement. I don't know how this happened or what led to this, but now you heard a recent legislation was passed for employers to not discriminate people of a different gender orientation. That means basically LGBTQ people who work at companies or whatever cannot be discriminated because of their diversified sexual gender. You know what I mean by diversified. Yeah, completely different. And I'm not saying to be nasty or anything. I'm just saying because I don't know how else to describe it. But anyway, they attach themselves to the Black Lives Matter movement. And I'm thinking, you guys know that the Black Lives Matter movement is actually about the fight for justice and the fight police brutality against African American males as well as females. But this is not our fight. Is not your fight. Okay. And I'm like, why did you attach yourselves to our fight to bring attention to you? I have a problem with that. I don't have and me personally, I really don't have a problem with gay people. I never have. I've had a few friends at work. The problem I got is that you guys are latching on to our fight and making it about your agenda instead of the agenda that we need to fight for, that's we've been fighting for 400 years, that's of a current topic about a black man having his neck being crushed by some racist cop's knee. Okay? That's what this fight is about. To bring the bigger attention to how bad racism really is in this country. Not about your gay agenda, about you not having the right to be able to work in the workplace and be discriminated against. This ain't the time for that bullshit right now. Okay? And that's the problem I got. And somebody else was saying that they believe the Black Lives Matter was a front for that. And I'm starting to believe the same thing. Because why did they allow the LGBTQ movement to infiltrate into or integrate into the Black Lives Matter movement when the LGBTQ fight has nothing to do with what we're dealing with here. It clearly don't. This is a totally different issue. I know some people that, well, people, of LGBTQ persuasion have also been harassed racially and all that other stuff. But it has nothing to do with you being a black male in this country being harassed by a police officer. That's the whole point. And you're diverting again, and somewhere along the line, people wants the attention diverted from our fight as African Americans and African American males, from the Black Lives Matter movement to LGBTQ movement, to try and make it the same. And it's not the same. I talked with a couple people yesterday, and we talked about this. Why is it every time we stick to an agenda of what we're talking about a subject, specifically regarding racism, police brutality, and white supremacy, white people always try to divert the attention to something other than that? If you're telling black people are being murdered by cops at a highly exceptional rate than white people tell you, well, what about the crime in your neighborhoods? What about your brothers who are killing each other? What does it got to do with what the fuck I'm talking about? Has nothing to do with it. And like I told people before, when you see what they call supposedly black on black crime, which is not black on black crime, it's just crime in our neighborhoods, especially the high rate of it, it's usually because of one thing: economics. That's a fact. And it wouldn't matter if they were selling drugs or they robbed me. It's always been about economics. Okay? That had nothing to do about law enforcement being paid by citizens to uphold the law and to protect and serve the people that they're supposed to protect and serve. Okay? That's their job. But they've been breaking that law for hundreds of years, have never abided to it. They continue to keep breaking it at their own free will and never being held accountable for it. That's the problem. Okay? That's the problem that needs to be addressed more than anything. How the hell you gonna have law and order when I'm talking about law and order, I ain't talking about Trump's law and order. I'm talking about how the hell you gonna have police officers out here that's supposed to protect people from the vagrants and the varmints and the criminals if they're being criminal themselves? You have to hold accountability for those guys who are doing the same shit and nothing less. I'm tired of this mess. We decided to go ahead and fire him or suspend him. A lot of people don't know the officer that shot Tamir Rice to death, that rap motherfucker who got in the car and just opened fire on Tamir Rice, who was only 12 years old. And out of my hometown, Cleveland. This guy was suspended. Sometime later on, he got another job working in another police department. Facts. Of course, the media didn't mention anything about it. I happened to catch an article somewhere where he actually got rehired. These people don't care. They don't care. The young man who got killed, the one that did the film about Fruitvale Station. Stupid ass. No, you can't make a turn right there, especially this time of morning, idiot. The young man who got killed at Fruitvale Station, I don't know what, I think it's San Francisco somewhere, at the subway station. I saw the actual video. I wish I had saved it. I saw the actual video. I've never seen the movie, but I saw the actual video where he was arrested. I don't even know what he actually did, but he was arrested. He was detained. He was restrained. He said something to the cop. He never even touched the cop because he was handcuffed. The cop just took his gun and shot him. Shot him right in the head. I was so angry I won't even watch the film. I can't even watch the movie because I saw the actual video. If it's still on YouTube, pull it up. It's jarring. I said, you just murdered a black man. And the officer only did 2 years. I was like, how the fuck this guy do it? This guy actually did only 2 years for murdering a black man who was handcuffed. What the fuck was he going to do? I'm still like, how the fuck you get 2 years from just murdering a black man in handcuffs? Matter of fact, speaking of that, I'm gonna try to look up the story. There was a young man, and he was 24 years old. I lived in District Heights for 11 years. A year after we moved out there, and it was 1993, a young man was handcuffed by the Prince George's Police Department on Kipling Parkway, right down the street, down there around the corner from where I live. I'm within the earshot of my house. He was murdered by Prince George's Police Department. Yes, I'm saying. His name escapes me. I just had posted on my personal Facebook page. His mother is 27 years later is now trying is talking about the murder of her son. I don't know why she waited 27 years later to bring it back up. Should have been talking about it every year on the news, whatever. But they said that she had made several appeals to the county to get charges put up on the officers that did it, and they never did. The officers were never charged with his murder. Now, this young man has handcuffs. He was handcuffed to a police car. They claimed that he got a gun, shot the police. Police shot 22 rounds into the police car, and the young man died from 14 shots from the officers as a result. They landed him. And I'm like, are you serious? 22 shots within the earshot of where I live. Right around the corner from my house almost. That's a goddamn shame. You know? And it ain't just because it was from my house, but it was only because from my house and the fact that the young man was handcuffed. That he was handcuffed. Okay? And my understanding when the story originally came out, they said his hands was behind his back. You know? Albeit he was in the front seat. Well, if his handcuffed behind his back, how the fuck he gonna shoot at cops? You know? That's the kind of stuff we should be talking about, people. The hell with the LGBTQ movement for right now, man. They've gotten what they got, and they've actually had the law recently passed in favor, but that was also a diversion tactic. That was the reason why they were out there in the first place. And I'm gonna tell you right in front, guys and gals, we should be boycotting. I said in another video I just posted. But yeah, boycotting all these sports teams when they come back online. NBA, NFL, MLB if it comes back. Doubt it'll come back this year. The hockey, all of that. Boycott all of that. Don't listen to them. Don't buy the merchandise. Don't watch them on TV. Don't go to the games. You know? And I talked about it again in the other podcast. The Montgomery boycott, the Montgomery bus boycott that happened in the 1950s crippled the bus system for a whole year. Okay? Now, you may not have to go that far. Nothing wrong with you if you do. But I'll say this. Going to sports, buying sports merchandise, and watching sports on TV is something you don't have to do. I haven't watched it. I haven't really said that and watched too many NFL games the last 3-4 years myself. You know, and I love football. I love watching football. The NBA I started watching about a year ago. I definitely won't be watching this year if they come back. I won't. There's no point. But black folks, we gotta stop feeding into the banana, into the tailpipe. We gotta cut that mess out. We can't let no distractions, including LGBTQ, distract us from our agenda. Our agenda is not only to be heard, but to have major change. Major policies need to be addressed. Major policies need to be changed. Enough with this pilly thing about chokehold law. Chokehold, what the fuck is just a chokehold law going to do? And a chokehold law is a meaningless law, to tell you the truth. They're talking about you can use it after the fact. But, they can make that claim all day and tell you, I had to use it on him because he was resisting arrest. And they've been saying about a lot of cases anyway, and they would use it in the case of that. My thing is, you need transparency. You need accountability. Real accountability. And I've yet to see it even in this so-called sweeping change that Trump is trying to quote-unquote make happen. It's got to come through fruition with more just a chokehold law. Okay, that's crumbs. We don't want crumbs. We want papers, guys. We want big, sweeping changes that's going to make a difference in the future of our lives and the future of our generations to come. Enough of the bullshit. Enough of the bullshit. Enough of the cycle of bullshit that's been going for 400 years. We're tired of this cycle, of spinning cycle of bullshit. It's like putting a gerbil on a wheel. You get on the wheel, he spins and spins and spins till you get tired. Then forget about it. Then he spins again. That's the cycle of bullshit we've been dealing with for 401 years. Aren't you guys tired of this shit? It's time. And it's time that we make sweeping changes now. Major policies that need to be changed in the legislature, in the laws, in the police departments, and really in some cases the government, to be truthful, including the DOJ and FBI, because these guys, they really aren't doing their jobs in terms of battling racism. They're not. These policies must be strengthened, and I mean strengthened to the core. We're tired of letting people get away with the kind of shit that they're doing. We're tired of white cops or white supremacists getting away with murder left and right with impunity. I'm tired of this shit. Okay? And y'all wonder why people get mad? But the other problem is white people are more concerned about, it's stores. It was beautiful. You messed it up. I'm tired of being in their own little box thinking about that no one lives in the world other than them. Like their world is the only world that matters. I'm tired of that. It's time for people to wake up and recognize. This is why people do what they're doing out here. They're not being heard. Their needs are not being met. Their demands are not being fulfilled. It's time. Either you want to make sweeping changes, or somebody's going to make some rearranges. People are tired. It's not like they want to do it. It's not like they want. I don't think it's like people want to destroy and burn up stuff and stuff like that. I really don't believe that that's people's intentions. But I do know that people are tired of having to ask and talk about and legislation and lawmakers talking about, we hear you. We don't want to just be heard, motherfuckers. We want you to do sweeping changes. We want you to do stuff that's going to matter in the lives of African Americans. We're tired of the talk. We're tired of the rhetoric. Okay? It's time for the sweeping changes where people are going to start doing some rearranges. And the reason why people won't start doing rearranges is because people are tired of you talking. Okay? I myself, I don't condone violence in any way. But there are people who are fed up. And I'm talking about completely fed up. It's time to wake up. Get woke. Now.